Good morning, everybody. Everything new under the sun. We've spoken about Event 201 and Cyber Polygon events and exercises that seemed, at least for Event 201, seemed to play out in real life shortly after it occurred. And there's lots of cyber attacks going on too. Canada was affected by significant cyber attacks very recently, and it has been affecting the government emails and such going out to international partners. And so these events seem to be triggers or be test runs and really game plans of what seem to come in the very near future. Now, this is an interesting one. If they're looking for the next pandemic or something, you got to look at this and say, really, is this a coincidence? 100 monkeys escape en route to CDC lab. Now you got to look at that and say, what are the chances that that's going to happen? That there's an accident with monkeys and they happen to be infected with something, and they've escaped. Is it a controlled release? As if 2020 wasn't strange enough with COVID murder hornets, 2022 began with a truckload of 100 monkeys destined for CDC laboratory escaping. The primate prison break took place Friday, Montour County, Pennsylvania, after a collision between a pickup with a trailer full of 100 cynomolgus macaque monkeys hit a dump truck on a state highway. Shipment of monkeys was en route to an unnamed CDC-approved quarantine facility after arriving Friday at New York Kennedy's airport from Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. By Saturday, all but one of the monkeys had been accounted for. Kristen Nordland, a spokesman for the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said 3 of the monkeys had been euthanized humanely. While the search was underway, police urged people not to look for or capture the monkeys. It does say at some point there was someone who had come in contact, did start getting symptoms, cold symptoms. So of course the question is, what did they have? A very interesting thing. It says at the bottom, scenarios in which apocalyptic pandemics are caused by lab monkeys are fodder for science fiction movies like 12 Monkeys or 28 Days Later. And you look at these things and you wonder, what sort of odd disease did they have that they are going to the CDC for testing for? And beyond that, what are the chances that there's going to be an accident on the road? Not very high. So, you know what? When the next pandemic comes out and you wonder how it got out, just like the wet food market in Wuhan, well, there you go. Another way to get it. It's just interesting things, Quince. I'm not saying there's anything specific to it, but pay attention for these things. Incredible happenings in our world. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it, but apparently there's 62,000 truckers coming from the U.S. for Convoy to Ottawa 2022. A massive uprising of the lay folk, you and me, the regular working Joes, and the truckers are doing it. They're trucking to Ottawa, and CBC News keeps putting it out as, there's a small fringe or hundreds of truckers. Our Prime Minister even came out and said this is a small fringe group of people who are against mandates, and that could not be farther from the truth. There were at least 800,000 Canadians of a population, what is it, 34 million? Nearly 1 million voting age people voted for Maxime Bernier, who was against mandates, and that's what his party ran on. So a significant portion, and there's now thousands of truckers going there with tens of thousands of supporters across Canada who are not truckers. And so the whole narrative that it's fringe groups that are interested in freedom and the freedom to choose is not true. And it's incredible that Justin Trudeau, as Prime Minister, is saying these things about whole groups of people. Where's the diplomacy there? It's incredible, and they're just trying to denigrate them, make fun of them, make them look like they are some small group of crazy right wing fanatics. I'm sure he'll bring Trump in somewhere and say that they're Trump supporters or something too. But it's incredible, and there's a big movement going on, and the politicians are there to do the will of the people. I hope they listen. I hope they have engage in actual conversation. I fear, I fear they won't. Honestly, in this day and age, politicians don't listen anymore to what the people think. They just go ahead and do what they think they can get away with. And there will be a reckoning coming. There will be a voting of the Canadian public. The other thing I find interesting is on Facebook, everybody who is vaccinated basically doesn't support this. Because they've kind of been pushed towards the narrative of get vaccinated, and maybe they feel like they would be betraying it by not saying they support anti-vaxxers, but saying they support the freedom of choice. And interestingly, the freedom of choice is something that people on Facebook, as just one example, don't support anymore, or they can't support it. They can't support the freedom to not get vaccinated. And this is a pretty basic, fundamental right. The freedom to not have experimental vaccines or medical procedures done in you. This is Nuremberg Code stuff. This is basic Charter of Rights and Freedom stuff. Yet people think it's fringe, right-wing, lunatic, terrorist ideas. But this is what our nations were founded on, Canada and U.S. This freedom, and freedom that our forefathers fought for in multiple world wars. So we are entering into a time where, boy, you will have no freedom and you will like it. And it's a scary situation. I don't think it gets a lot better, to be honest with you. Folks, I'm going to leave it there. Short video for today. Pay attention to what happens here and what the outcome is. This is how these pandemics spread. This is how the current pandemic took off from a mistake release by a virus lab in Wuhan. And now we have a mistake release of infected monkeys by the CDC in the United States. All right, maybe there was an accident, but the chances of accidents are pretty small. I mean, you go out and drive your car every day. Think of what your percentage is that you're going to get in an accident. And, you got to look at these things and say, that's quite a coincidence, just like a lot of other things happening in this world. Quite a coincidence. Thanks for watching. I'll leave it there, and we'll see you in the next video.